तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः।
ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना। We are studying here the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and we are in the conversations of 27th October 1882. And Keshav Sen has taken Sri Ramakrishna on a steamer, and they are traveling on the river Ganges. And they have made that go toward the Calcutta side. And after describing Kali's various forms, when Brahma devotee has asked, "Sir, can't we realize God without complete renunciation?" The question is very different from, though similar, from what Master Mahashaya had asked. He had asked how to fix the mind in God, and then he had asked how to live in the world. Here, he makes a condition of living in the world and then asks, can we realize God? So obviously, if you say no, he said, all right, I cannot because I am in the world. But here, Sri Ramakrishna, with a laugh. So Sri Ramakrishna understood the state of his mind immediately, that he is afraid, mortally afraid of giving up the world. And yet, some idea of realizing God has come in him. Now from here, we see a master treatment. Suppose imagine some other person was there, he would have straight away said no. Sri Ramakrishna said yes. And first, he lowers down the ideal itself and shows the man his present position. And why should you think of leaving that? And then, seamlessly, he brings him round to the absolute renunciation. That is the wonderful, majestic trend of Sri Ramakrishna's talk to any people. He would never say no. He would say yes, and then a rider. But you do like that, you do like that, you do like that. So, because to Master Mahashaya's question of in what condition God will be realized, he had said that total yearning is absolutely necessary, spirit of surrender is absolutely necessary. And three pulls of the world, if they become one towards God, then only you can achieve this. But when this gentleman, Brahma devotee, asks in such a way, Sri Ramakrishna says, yes, of course you can. So first is assurance Of course you can. Why should you renounce everything? That means he shows his today's position and says, why should you think of renouncing everything? You cannot think of that today. But you are all right as you are, following the middle path. So first is remove this fear of having to give up everything. If fear enters, you cannot proceed. So first he removes the fear. Like molasses, partly solid and partly liquid. Do you know the game of knocks? Having scored the maximum number of points, I am out of the game. So he shows clearly about himself through his example that is out of the game. He is really mukta. He has realized God by giving up this world. But I can't enjoy it. So enjoyment is not the goal of life. And this man wants to enjoy. That's what Thakur is showing him in a very, very humorous, light, positive manner, as if that is all right. But you are very clever. Some of you have scored 10 points, some 6 and some 5. You have scored just the right number, so you are not out of the game like me. The game can go on. Why? That's fine. All love. So people understood. Sri Ramakrishna has shown to him that don't think of that as the goal of life today. But then slowly, seamlessly, he will bring him there. I tell you the truth. Now here first time he talks of truth. I tell you the truth. There is nothing wrong in your being in the world, but you must direct your mind toward God. So starting point. Realizing God much later. Don't think of it just now. Live in the world. But first, you must direct your mind towards God, away from the world. And that was what Master Mash had asked. He had not asked it. So Thakur brings him to that side. Otherwise, you will not succeed straight away. Now, I will tell you the truth, and he has straight away told, unless you change the direction of your life, you can never succeed. You cannot combine this and that. There are two directions of life. So, directing your mind towards God and directing your mind towards the world are opposite things. Unless you direct your mind to God, you cannot succeed. But that will come gradually. Once you fix this aim, then that will come gradually. So, do your duty with one hand. Living in the world means duty. Do your not attachment, enjoyment, etc. Living in the world means duty. That portion is all right. Do your duty with one hand and with the other hold to God. After the duty is over, you will hold to God with both hands. So he has shown what they technically called karma nishtha and jnana nishtha. Not in the technical terms, but after your duty is over, that means there will come a point in your life when you will not feel this is your duty. Otherwise, duty will never be over. So you will feel that this is not your duty. Your duty is to realize God only. And then the second, then hold to God with both hands. It is all a question of the mind, direction. Bondage and liberation are of the mind alone. So you want to be free, that is where the mind should go. The mind will take the color you dye it with It is like white clothes. If you dip them in blue or green, they will be blue or green. They will take only the color you dip them in, whatever it may be. Haven't you noticed that? So, ambience, atmosphere, associations, surroundings, that is how first the mind will go to God. Then he shows the power. Haven't you noticed that if you read a little English, you at once begin to utter English words, foot, fit, eat meat, then you put on boots and whistle a tune, and so on. It all goes together. You cannot live in one ambience and try for something else. Or if a scholar studies Sanskrit, he will at once rattle off Sanskrit verses. If you are in bad company, then you will talk and think like your companions. On the other hand, when you are in the company of devotees, you will think and talk only of God. So first thing, direct your mind to God. Second thing, be in the company of devotees. The mind is everything. A man has his wife on one side and his daughter on the other. He shows his affection to them in different ways, but his mind is one and the same. So, change of the attitude of the mind. Bondage is of the mind and freedom is also of the mind. A man is free if he constantly thinks, I am a free soul. A tremendous statement he has made. If he can constantly feel, that means change of direction, complete change of direction. And this shows that man's real nature is freedom. That is why just let him assert it and it will happen. I am a free soul. How can I be bound? So, discrimination shows that you cannot be bound. Your real nature is always free. You are bound because you feel you are bound. Whether I live in the world or in the forest. So this physical surroundings is different. What is the state of your mind? I am a child of God. Is it easy to feel like that? I am a child of God, the King of Kings. Who can bind me? So he has put this in the bhakti language, you may say. I am free. This is the Jnani's language. I am the child of God is the Bhakta's language. If bitten by a snake, a man may get rid of the venom by saying emphatically, there is no poison in me. Emphatically is an important word here. In the same way, by repeating with grit and determination, I am not bound, I am free, one really becomes so. One really becomes free. Only by with grit and determination to say that I am free, that is the only condition. So, on the surface, it will appear very, very easy, but with grit and determination, with no other thought, whether I live in the world is not the concern, attached, I am not bound. So, this is how one becomes free. Once someone gave me a book of the Christians. I asked him to read it to me. It talked about nothing but sin. To Keshav, sin is the only thing one hears of it, your Brahma Samaj too. So Brahma Samaj had copied that idea from the Christians. I am a sinner. Sin, sin and sin. How to be redeemed and all that. So the moment you say you are the sinner, that is Maya. Who is sinner? This apparent I is the sinner. You have not to give your defects. You have to give up that I which has defects. There is no other way to mukti. You cannot say, I will get rid of all my sins. No. You can get rid of that I which feels it is the sinner. That is the most important Vedantic idea. The wretch who constantly says, I am bound, only succeeds in being bound. So Thakur calls him a wretch. And he says, because he feels, I am bound. So that is the bondage. Vedantic books tell us, you are bound so long as you feel you are bound. You are free the moment you can feel you are free. So that is what Thakur is telling here. But in such an assuring words, he who says day and night, first he said constantly, now he says day and night, I am a sinner, verily becomes a sinner. Becomes even if he is not. One should have such burning faith in God. So, points if you count, first is assertion of freedom. Secondly, rejection of the idea of sin. Thirdly, faith. One should have such burning faith in God that one can say, what? I have repeated the name of God, and can sin still cling to me? So if I have taken the name of God, that faith, that God is beyond sin. If I take the name of God, I am lifted beyond sin. How can I be sinner even now? How can sin still cling to me? How can I be a sinner anymore? How can I be in bondage anymore? So that also gives the hint that the sinner I or the bound I is given up. It is a different I. At this point in the Bengali, there is an example which has already occurred in the English book in different contexts, that Krishna Kishore had such a tremendous faith that when he went to drink water with a well, the lower caste people were taking water there, and so he told them, you take the name of Shiva, everything will become pure and I can drink that water. So faith in the name was shown through Krishna Kishore. And then if a man repeats the name of God, so it is not only that repeating the name of God, what happens, the psychological changes the name of God brings about. If a man, repeats the name of God, his body, why the name of God is to be repeated, it makes the body, mind, everything pure. Why should one talk only about sin and hell and such things? Because the mind becomes polluted like that, weak becomes like that. Say but once. Hear that point. Say but once. Oh Lord, I have undoubtedly done wicked things, but I won't repeat them. So here the term determination, faith go together. Faith in God's name, but tell God, I won't repeat them again. Otherwise, I am not the sinner and you go on committing bad things, then what will happen? So change of direction, total is being shown here. Now, whether you renounce or not is your question. And have faith in his name. Sri Ramakrishna became intoxicated with divine love and sang. So, because he was showing the effect of the name of God, his mind became intoxicated with that experience. And he sings, Ami Durga Durga bole ma yadi mori, akhire e dine, na taro kemone, jana jabe go shankari. In Sri Ramakrishna's mind, there is no difference between jnana and bhakti. The approaches may be different. So same thing, without any seam in between, he shifts to the language of bhakti and says, now some important things are here. Huh? If only I can pass away repeating Durga's name. So today you cannot decide what will you pass away with unless you have practiced it whole life. So the change of direction is absolutely necessary. No more sin, he says. So that is the principle in the Gita, that whatever comes at the end point, a man gets next life accordingly. If you get God's name at the end point, you will go to God. But how that will come? So the Gita says, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yuddhacha. So you are doing your duty, but remember me every moment. So I think I've quoted sometimes some funny examples. A man was about to die and he was murmuring something. So people thought, give him a dose of brandy, he will get vitality for a time being. And when they gave him like that, he said that calf is biting at the broomstick. So that was in his mind. People thought he's trying to utter the name of Keshava Vasudeva like that. But that is what he said. So you can utter in the end that which you have practiced whole your life. Here people will give me a different example, I know that. There was an Ajamil and he was a wicked man. And he took his son's name by mistake and he became free. There the commentators will explain he had done that lakhs of times before. In between something had come. But the last point is that which you have strongest impression in your mind. Otherwise, a parrot is taught by a prostitute to say Rama, 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 Hari, Hari, Hari. The parrot has no impression of that. So when the cat catches it, it says down. It does not say Rama or Hari. While the prostitute, with full faith and love, she is teaching that name, so she becomes free. These are plenty of examples like that. So here, if I pass away, repeating Durga's name, how canst that thou then, O Blessed One, withhold from me deliverance? Wretched though I may be wretched, but if I can take Durga's name at the end, only if I have been repeating it always, then you will come and deliver me. Then he said, to my divine mother, I prayed only for pure love. So another important point, running through all those points, running through the jnana and faith and bhakti and everything, is the love for the Lord. Living in the home, do you love the Lord? That is the question. Love is the force, we have seen again and again. Love is the force which changes the consciousness of man. Love is the force. Then he said, to my divine mother, I prayed only for pure love, not mixed with worldly desires. So see, now seamlessly he has brought him to total renunciation. I offered flowers at her lotus feet and prayed to her, Mother, here is thy virtue, here is thy vice. Take them both and grant me only pure love for thee. Why this duel? Because take this virtue may also mean I will indulge in vice. Otherwise, giving up vice is mentioned here only to show that I give up virtue not by indulging in vice, but I give up virtue because I, the doer, I give up. That is the meaning. I is the doer of virtue. I is the doer of vice. So I, the doer, has been given up. That is the renunciation. And give me pure love. Here is thy knowledge, here is thy ignorance. So knowledge means I know God, I is there. I do not know God, I is there. This I is being given up. Take them both and grant me only pure love for thee. People are against knowledge does not mean they should indulge in ignorance. I has to go. Here is thy purity, here is the impurity. What more to say? I am pure, I am impure is also I. And unless I is given up, purity is not achieved. It will be only a relative purity, and that relative purity is not sufficient to reach God. So everywhere is what he is hinting, I is a source of purity and impurity. And if that I is given up, you reach God. Total renunciation, renunciation of I and mine is the main renunciation. How can you live in the world? How can you say this is my house? Take them both, mother, and grant me only pure love for thee. Here is thy dharma, here is thy adharma. Though it is repeated, it is equivalent to virtue and vice. Take them both, mother, and give me only pure love for thee. So this is teaching to that Brahma devotee and through him to all the Brahma devotees. So after talking this much, he turns to the Brahmo devotees. Now listen a song by Ramprasad. Now at this point, listen to a song by Ramprasad where this thing will be emphasized. Something more we may get there. I have not taken Ravana today. Come, let us go for a walk, O mind, to Kali, the wish-fulfilling tree. Mind, direction change, go to Kali, which is the wish-fulfilling tree. And there beneath it, gather the four fruits of life, you know, dharma, artha, kam, and moksha. Dharma, virtue, artha, gold, kam, women. And after you evolve through them, being grounded, that was the Indian idea. be grounded in dharma, and then you try for artha and calm through that dharma. This causes friction and this causes evolution, and then you become fit for mukti. Now, in the song, beautiful figuratively things are being told of your two wives. That was not outside the custom in those days. There is nothing strange in thinking. This, after all, a figurative, but even in actual life, people had many wives also. Of your two wives, dispassion and worldliness. Opposite, Vairagya and Sansar. Now see, living in the world. Bring along dispassion only. When you are going to the tree, Mother Kali, don't bring worldliness. So where has that talk gone? How seamlessly Thakur has brought them here. On your way to the tree and ask her son, dispassion's son, discrimination about the truth. Dispassion is the feeling. Discrimination is the intellectual idea behind that. And this discrimination between the real and unreal, to that you ask the truth. It will tell you God alone is true, everything else is false. And then dispassion will become stronger. So discrimination has been in the figure told as the son of dispassion. When will you learn to lie, O mind, in the abode of blessedness, with cleanliness and defilement on either side of you? Another figure, another two wives. Shuchi, Ashuchi, cleanliness, defilement. But the mind has to go beyond them both. So the relative Shuchi or Ashuchi will not be affecting you when you follow dispassion and discrimination. So God is real, everything else is unreal. So this another figure is given that only when you have found the way to keep these wives contentedly under a single roof. That means you are neither concerned with this or that, they are contented, you are beyond them. Will you behold the matchless form of Mother Shama? So when you are able to equate Shuchi and Ashuchi, both belong to the world, both belong to the worldliness. And if you follow Vairagya and Vivek away from them, then only you can see Mother Shama. Ego and ignorance, your parents, the figure continues, ego and ignorance, your parents, instantly banish from your sight. He is not asking us to give up actual mother and father, but in the figure, ego and ignorance. Why you are their mother and father? You are born with them. And should delusion seek to drag you to its hole, delusion, moha. Moha tries to drag you to its hole, that means trap you. Manfully cling to the pillar of patience. Manfully, with strength. There is a pillar of patience. That means when temptations try to pull you down, be strong. That is patience. Don't succumb to them. Try to the post of unconcern, the goats of vice and virtue. Figure continues. Vice and virtue, I is there involved. These are the two goats, but unconcerned, udasin, vairagya, transcendence. There you tie both these goats, they won't make problem to you. In this song we see the transcendence. With the children of worldliness, your first wife, plead from a goodly distance. Now, first wife is worldliness. Her children are vice and virtue. Both are worldliness. Oh, I'm going back. Tie thee to the post of unconcern, the goats of vice and virtue, killing them with the sword of knowledge, if they rebel. If they keep quiet, all right. If they rebel, kill them with the sword of knowledge that they are unreal. With the children of worldliness, your first wife, plead from a godly, goodly distance. So, avoid them. Virtue and vice, avoid them. And if they will not listen, drown them in wisdom's sea. Wisdom is the supreme knowledge. Their virtue and vice will not stand. Virtue and vice should be made powerless, but if they rebel, they should be drowned in wisdom. All is figurative, says Ram Prasad. If you do as I say, who is I here? প্রসাদ বলে এমন হলে কালের কাছে জবাব দিবি তবে বাপু বাছা বাপের ঠাকুর মনের মতো মন হবি Okay, listen to me, Bapu, Papa. That means he is daringly, he is lovingly, Ram Prasad is telling us this. You can submit a good account of mind to the king of death. So at the point of death, you have to submit the account. What virtue and vice is not the concern. Love of God. Giving up ego. That is what will be tested. And I shall be well pleased with you and call you my darling. So that is the dearest to Ram Prasad. That is dearest to any spiritual person. Now, fact of life. This whole talk is so nicely mixed. Aim of life, requirement to aim. Don't be afraid. Come to present life. How to proceed from there. Like that it changes. This is how the Vedas or Upanishads teach us always, or the Gita. In between the talk of ideal, in between the talk of practical life, and from here how to proceed there in a seamless manner. Thakur is flowing. Why shouldn't one be able to realize God in this world? What is the obstruction? I. If I is not there, why will not be able to live anywhere? Example. King Janaka had such realization. He was a king, absolute monarch. He had to administer not only his family, but the whole kingdom. And yet, his name was Videha Janaka, beyond the body. So, example is quoted first to assure us. Ram Prasad described the world as a mere framework of illusion in another song. But if one loves God's hallowed feet, then this very world is a mansion of mirth. So about Janaka, somebody else has made a song replying to Ram Prasad. This very world is a mansion of mirth. Here I can eat, here drink, make merry. Janaka's might was unsurpassed. What did he lack of the world or the spirit? Holding to one as well as to the other, he drank his milk from a brimming cup. Allah. So, shows that the concern for the world can be there along with God, but will come, remember. So here again, through example, an assure is given. Here I remember about Mahapurush Maharaj. Thakur's disciple Vivekananda Swamiji has said, he was supremely concerned and absolutely unconcerned about the world. That is what is Janaka's life. But the but has come, expected. But one cannot be a King Janaka all of a sudden. Janaka, taking name, you will not become Janaka. Janaka's example is given, one can manage household or world with spirituality. But it is not an easy joke at all. So, all of a sudden you cannot become Janaka. Janaka at first practiced much austerity in solitude. So he brings another point, beautiful point, necessary in spiritual life through the example of Janaka. And that is that he practiced in solitude. So whether living in the world you will be able to do or not, you will have to go to solitude. Even if one lives in the world, in general, one must go into solitude now and then. See now, if remaining in the world, can I realize God? Why not? But remaining in the world, you will have to go to solitude now and then, because you are living the world. Always you cannot go to solitude, but don't live in the world also 24 hours. You have to go to solitude. It will be of great help to a man if he goes away from his family, lives alone, and weeps for God even for 3 days. Away from his family, in solitude, lives alone, and weeps for God even for 3 days. So, how beautifully Thakur is making them dance to his tune. Solitude, weep. Weep means yearning. So I come back to the same point. Yearning is the main thing. Only living in the world, whether I will get God, that attitude itself is not correct. But instead of telling it is not correct, Thakur says, all right, your aim of life is only this much. But if you want really God, you have to, even for 3 days, one has to weep. We try to weep. After 10 minutes, we will forget weeping, or we will forget why we were weeping. So this is not easy, though in Thakur's language it appears easy. Even if he thinks of God for 1 day, so from 3, he has brought it short 1 day in solitude, without any connection with the world. 1 day. When he has the leisure. So when he will stay in solitude, finding some time from the world, that too will do him good. People shed a whole jug of tears for wife and children, so he has come to yearning now. But who cries for the Lord? Now and then one must go into solitude and practice spiritual discipline to realize God. So not only crying, but spiritual sadhana has to be done, taking the name of the God, repeating the name of the God. So he is putting every masala into it. Living in the world and entangled in many of its duties, entangled. The aspirant during the first stage of spiritual life finds many obstacles in the path of concentration. So you cannot concentrate your mind if you are entangled in the duties. While the trees on the footpath are young, they must be fenced around. Otherwise, they will be destroyed by cattle. The fence is necessary when the tree is young, but it can be taken away when the trunk is thick and strong. Then the tree won't be hurt even if an elephant is tied to it. So, Janaka, example, solitude and all that is necessary. And when you become spiritually strong, then world or whatever will not do you anything wrong. Another beautiful example. On this point, I wanted to offer a story. I think I might have told you once. One of our devotees in Pune, I will not take the name, he is still living, Bhavananji's right-hand man, giving lectures on behalf of ashram and all that. Once something happened, and why the sadhus have privilege, something happened. I asked him, you come and stay with us for 3 nights. In the monks got one room. He said, I am at an office. I said, Friday evening you come. Saturday will be half day. You go to the office from ashram. Night, 3 nights you have to spend here. Then he said, clothes who will wash. I said, your wife will come, take your clothes, wash them, bring it back. That is also allowed. But stay for 3 days in the ashram. On the second day, he says, I cannot. I feel loneliness. I cannot stay. Not only without my wife, but without my children, without my brother's family. I had quoted this to show that man feels he is a fraction. So, Thakur is emphasizing again and again that the disease of worldliness is like typhoid. Another figure. There are a huge jug of water and a jar of savory pickles in the typhoid patient's room. If you want to cure him of his illness, you must remove him from that room. So, worldliness, remove from the world. Disease is always there. The worldly man is like the typhoid patient. The various objects of enjoyment are the huge jug of water, and the craving for their enjoyment is his thirst. The very thought of pickles makes the mouth water. You don't have to bring them near, and is surrounded with them, all the enjoyments. The companionship of woman is the pickles. Hence, treatment in solitude is necessary. See? One may enter the world after attaining discrimination and dispassion. Another example. In the ocean of the world, there are 6 alligators: lust, anger, and so on. Lust, anger, greed, delusion, pride, jealousy. Lust, anger, and so forth. But you need not fear the alligators if you smear your body with turmeric before you go into the water. In so many ways, he is bringing Vivek and Vairagya, Vivek and Vairagya, Vivek and Vairagya, and then practice the name of God, love God, change the direction of the mind. That is what he has been telling. Discrimination and dispassion are the turmeric. Discrimination, what is discrimination? Is the knowledge of what is real and what is unreal. It is the realization that God alone is the real and eternal substance, and that all else is unreal. Live in the world or what? All else is unreal, transitory, impermanent. And you must cultivate intense zeal for God, so that love, intensity, yearning, all they go together. You must feel love for him and be attracted to him. And then he brings an absolute ideal. The gopis of Vrindavan felt the attraction of Krishna. Let me sing a song. So, he goes to the Gopi song. I did not read that song about Kali and the mother and all that. In English, it was clear. And that song that the Sansar is a fine place. But now, वंशी बाजिलो এই বিপিনে আমার তো না গেলে নয় আমার তো না গেলে নয় শ্যাম পথে দাঁড়ায় আছে. These are in brackets, that means given by Thakur himself. তোরা যাবি কি না যাবি বল গো তোদের শ্যাম কথার কথা আমার শ্যাম অন্তরের ব্যথা সেই তোদের বাজে বাঁশি কানের কাছে বাঁশি আমার বাজে হৃদয় মাঝে শ্যামের বাঁশি বাজে বেরাও রাই তোমা বিনা কুঞ্জের শোভা নাই. Listen, the flute has sounded in yonder wood. You must be remembering Gopi's attraction for Sri Krishna. Then there I must fly, for Krishna waits on the path. Tell me, friends, will you come along or no? To you, my Krishna is merely an empty name. To me, he is the anguish of my heart. You hear his flute notes only with your ears, but oh, I hear them in my deepest soul. I hear his flute calling, Radha, come out. Without you, the grove is shorn of its loveliness. So God also loves his devotees. The devotees feel his attraction and they go to him, giving up everything, companions or whatever. If they are ready to go with him, he takes them. If they are not, he is gone. The master sang the song with tears in his eyes, with full feeling, and said to Keshav and the other Brahmo devotees, whether you accept Radha and Krishna or not, because many people raise the objection to the historicity of Krishna and Radha. But Thakur says you may not accept them. Please do accept their attraction for each other. God loving the devotee, devotee loving the God. Try to create that same yearning in your heart for God. Yearning is all you need in order to realize him. So I think the whole talk has ended here. And it has ended in yearning. The same point which he had told to Master Mashai on this direct question. So this question was very indirect. But Thakur turned it without seeming to jump from one idea to the other. That is the fun. In a very smooth way, seamless way, as I am telling, he has shown every side required to reach God. Every side he has shown. Total cut off from the world he has shown. In spirit, in mind, not from outside. But from outside also, equally responsible by telling that Janaka had done a lot of tapasya before he became Janaka. So, all sides, every side, beautifully told. Now, the topic, you may say, is over in answer to that one single question, whether living in the world one can realize God. Can't one realize God living in the world? And Thakur has replied it in its totality, replied to not only the mind of the questioner, but mind of all the listeners, all the Brahmo devotees. And so now the ship takes another turn, we take another turn. Gradually the ebb tide set in. The steamboat was speeding towards Calcutta. It passed under the Howrah Bridge and came within sight of the botanical garden. Those who know Calcutta will understand this. Further it is going. The captain was asked to go a little further down the river. Down means south toward the sea. The passengers were enchanted with the master's words, and most of them had no idea of time or how far they had come. simply lost in that seamless talk. In between singing, in between talking, in a continuous way. Keshav began to serve some puffed rice and grated coconut. Simplest snacks. The guests held these in the folds of their wearing clothes. No sophistication, even with Keshav. And presently started to eat. They must have been angry by now. Everyone was joyful. The master noticed, however, that Keshav and Vijay rather shrank from each other and he was anxious to reconcile them. Master, I think we'll take up this next. Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kaviviridhitam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadaatatam Bhuigurnanti Ye Bhuridajana Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanam.